Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. So lots of changes. Last week you had my son Mateo on with me, and this week I have a special guest, Aubrey Kennedy. She's co-hosting with me, and we're going to dive in and let you learn a little bit about her, and just talk about. We're going to talk actually about the misconceptions of beginning spirituality. We're kind of discussing it ahead of time, and seems like there's a lot there, and I think it's going to be a good way for you guys to get to know her. So without further ado, here she is. Hello. So how are you? As if we haven't been talking for the last half hour.
I am fantastic. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. So now you've been listening to Life Lessons and Laughter for a while.
Yeah. I don't know. How long when did you record? What year did you record your first podcast? Do you know how long?
No. For some reason, 05 is popping up.
5?
2005 maybe?
Yeah. No, I've been listening to them for like a decade. Yeah. That just, I just needed to, I was like, wait, I want to say 10 years, but yeah, I used to listen to your podcast on YouTube.
Oh, no, it couldn't have been 2005.
Right.
No, it wasn't 2005. Maybe 2015.
2015.
I don't know. It's been like 7 or 8 years, I think.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. So,
a long time.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. We just, like, for some reason, I see, what was it? Facebook that I saw you?
I think
or was it Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. Yeah, there was something. And of course you see people's names and people recommended to connect with on all social media platforms all the time. That's part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, very, very rarely do I actually click on somebody, and say, especially somebody that I don't know, and for some reason you just caught my attention, and I just clicked. Before I knew what I was doing, I just clicked connect, and then you were like, oh my God, I can't believe you reached out. Yeah. I was going to reach out before, but then I didn't. And then
literally a week before because I was really listening to your podcast heavy again. Like I would go through phases where I would just I've always listened to them consistently, but I was just like going through some stuff, and I love using them to cope, like in a healthy way. It just helps with my mental space. And so I was just listening to them a lot, and I'm like, maybe I should just reach out to Glenn. Like maybe I should just reach out to him and just like see where the conversation goes. And then I just never did it. And then I got a follow request from you on Instagram like a week later. I screenshotted it, like I sent it to my friends. Like honestly, I was like, hold on, like this is major. So I just reached out. I remember, I just reached out. I'm like, you've impacted my life in so many positive ways. Like this is really cool for me. So thank you.
Yes, well, my pleasure. And this is, I think people just right now already got a glimpse of why I asked you to be on. It's your energy. As soon as I talked to you once, I was like, damn, okay. You're high energy, intelligent, capable. You understand this stuff because you've been, doing it for a long time. And I thought it was going to be a good dynamic between us. You got the male and the female, you got the, I am a little bit older. You're younger. just a couple of years or something.
It's all relative.
Yeah. So I just figured, I thought it'd be a good dynamic, and I think it is going to be. And earlier we're talking about people getting into spirituality, and you're a yoga teacher.
Yes, I am.
So so of course, once, when I started talking about kind of people not being able to meditate and slow down their mind, that brought you right into talking about yoga and shavasana and stuff. So what's your take on that? Because that's one of the biggest things, every time I think everybody has their own path, so when I coach people, I'm not trying to teach them my path. Like, I don't have a specific way I try to teach. Like, I try to help people find their path, because the only thing about their path that I know is that it ain't mine. So and if they follow mine, they're just going to at some point figure out that they're on my path and not theirs, and have to start over. And that's a big pain in the ass. So why not? Let's just go on yours. So that's my mentality of teaching people their own path. But so I don't like to tell people you have to do this, because everything, people have different paths, but I can't find a way around meditating. I can't, you have to start slowing your mind down. You don't have to meditate perfectly. You don't have to meditate the way you think meditation is. Petting your cat or petting your dog could be a meditation, walking, running. There's lots of different meditation, but I think we do have to, in this day and age, practice slowing our mind down at some point. And the biggest objection I get is, and I get this objection, I think, from every human being I've ever talked to, says, I can't slow my mind down. Oh, I can't meditate because I can't slow my mind down. And it's like, yeah, everybody's like that.
Of course.
Nobody can just slow their mind down. And that's literally why you have to meditate, to regain control of your mind and learn how to slow it down and learn how to stop it. Because otherwise it's just building momentum and going, and it's running your life, and you don't have control over it. There's nothing wrong with our mind. There's something wrong with our mind controlling us. We're supposed to be controlling it.
Absolutely.
So this is such a big thing with a misconception about spirituality. It's like, yes, that everybody's the same, we're just another bozo on the bus. So none of us can stop our mind. This is why we need meditation. So as a yoga teacher, what's your experience, with that?
So, I mean, I think that a big part of how we look at life, it depends on how much space we have, between thoughts and reactions. And it's separating the emotion that gets us all worked up about things, and then we just go and act in the next moment. And what I really love about yoga, it helps create the space between emotion and reaction. So I'm not as reactive, because what happens is, I may be reactive about something. I react immediately out of emotion without having that space. And that's where the mistakes happen. That's where the things happen that we can't take back, So that's really what I love about yoga meditation, that it does create that space. So then you have the ability to choose how you want to react, not just reacting based on the emotion that got you all worked up and you're thinking about X, Y, Z, that it's not even relevant.
Right.
So, and it really is just like a muscle that we have to continue to work. And I hear that a lot with students that will come in and they'll just be like, I just can't relax. I just can't, I can't get there. And so that's when we start to, okay, you can't turn your brain off, you can't stop thinking. So think about your breathing, something physical, think about something physical that you can touch. You don't have to think about nothing. It's just focusing on one thing and staying there and not going in all of these different places.
Right. Yeah. And that's it. That's the, and I liked how you said creating space, because that's, I can't say it's everything, but boy, it's damn close. Because it's really creating space. It's like, I talk about it a lot as the sacred pause. Just that pause, but that's what it is. It's creating space and learning to be in control of your mind. That creates space. And when, every teacher in the world is teaching mindfulness or the power of now or consciousness, that's creating space. That's what's in that space. when you stop, it's like when you're being mindful, you're not going into a automatic reaction.
Exactly.
What you're doing is you're creating space, and in that little space, you can choose how you want to react. You know, so that's why it's like, you know, you were talking about it, and I'm like, yes, it's like I said, it might not be everything, but it's really close to everything.
It's not, and it's like those little wins, though. You know, like it's those little wins for ourselves. Like just in little decisions, like I get to choose how I want to react to this, and I get to, and every time that happens, and you create space, it validates it, and it solidifies it, and then before you know it, you're choosing how you're reacting to your whole life. Like really, you know,
right?
And
your experience.
Yeah, because with a space, when we have open space, there's room for infinite possibility, but without it, it's a very fixed mindset, you know.
And it's just conditioned on our past, you know. It's basically this is, you know, that's really the brain. The brain is a computer. It's just all it can do is spit out a response based on what's been put into it before.
Yes.
You know, so it's programming. So we've been programmed through our own lives, through our experiences meshed with our personalities, and it's like boom, 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 boom. So then when a stimuli happens in our life that matches that, it's like there's just a reaction, you know, and it's instant, and it's not, what's funny is people who are just walking around in life who really aren't diving into the spirituality yet, if you were to ask them, like, are you conscious? Do you know what you're doing? Of course I know what I'm doing. But they actually don't, because it's just an unconscious reaction based on their past experiences. So it's like when somebody says, hey, you're an asshole, you know, certain people have a patented response to that. You know, when attacked, I attack back. 10 times harder. Or when attacked, I shut down. Or when attacked, I get myself out of the situation. And it and people just go and do it. And they, you know, and then after, you know, it's
right.
It's unconscious.
With the aftermath of it, right? Like that's really what that is. It's the cleanup after we act through whatever it is that we're dealing with.
Yeah. And everything's like that, you know.
Yeah.
When there's a price hike on broccoli, there's a patented response.
Yes.
You know?
I know. Very much so.
Yeah, and most people don't realize that. They're like, you know, oh no, I mean, broccoli went up. I was upset, so of course I acted upset. So this is how people actually mask it. Is that, like, if you've noticed that if we disagree with something in society nowadays, it's socially acceptable and expected that you are going to be angry over it.
I can definitely,
you know, like, so there's no middle ground anymore. It's just like, well, broccoli went up. I wish it didn't go up, but it did. That space doesn't live in society anymore. It's broccoli went up. These bastards that set the prices, what are they thinking? They're trying to screw us. This is wrong.
Immediately.
And they have to go on social media and tell everybody, or go to the water cooler at work.
Funny, I know. But
and that conversation will go for a good half hour at work. You know, I know. And did you see apples? Apples are like that. This is ridiculous. And the outrage, if you're not outraged, you know, because like a lot of my life, I've been out in society and I try not to let this stuff piss me off. So everybody else is, you know, really pissed off. And I'm sitting there and they're like, well, I suppose this doesn't bother you, Glenn. It's, you know, well, I'm choosing to not let it bother me. I don't like it.
Absolutely. And I think
but shooting my heart rate through the roof and you know, minimizing my immune system and developing cancer because somebody raised the price on broccoli. Nah, I think that's an overreaction.
For sure. Absolutely. You're like, I got bigger things going on.
Yeah.
You know, displace.
Don't sweat the small stuff, and everything is small stuff.
No. And it's funny too, because even it's when you think about it, the chain reaction that happens, like you see broccoli and it goes up and you're enraged and you go and you complain to someone else and then their heart rate's going up, they get upset. Now maybe that person's triggered and that's a domino effect on them. And we don't think about how that impacts other people,
Right. All we get is the bonding.
Energy, it could impact their whole day and everyone they know and everyone they come in contact with. And it's just breeding it.
And it's socially acceptable. So it's, this is how, unfortunately, this is how we bond.
Yeah.
We're in society, we get very scared of thinking that we're better than other people. Like egomaniacs, not ego in the way we usually say it, but, old school egomaniacs. I'm better than everybody. I'm awesome. We're so scared because we know unconsciously that that's wrong and we don't want to be like that. And it's socially unacceptable to think you're better than other people, which is fine. You shouldn't think you're better than other people. We're all the same. Right. So, but we're so fearful that somebody else is going to think that we're better than them. They're like, oh, no, if I say something happy, how's your day? Great. Well, I can't walk around saying that because they might think that I think I'm better than them because I said great. So everybody's scared of that. So the only way they can feel safe connecting with one another is through complaining. So because then there's no risk of somebody thinking if you're everything sucks. Yeah, everything sucks. Oh, that's safe. Like, Absolutely. Oh, I can feel connected with another human being that way. So this is how we've developed how to connect with one another is through complaining and misery. This is, which breeds the socially acceptable aspect of it.
I just clicked for me for a second. It's just crazy that we have so many things that we can connect with people about, and we choose such a low vibration type of thing to connect over because it's the fruit. It's the easiest. It's, however you want to label it. But yeah, I just got that. I was just thinking about that. It's,
it's fear-based,
Yeah.
We're like, no, I don't want anybody to think that,
yeah,
I'm better.
Or I think I'm smarter. I think I have more knowledge. Yeah. And it's
so I'm happier. I don't want to act happy because somebody might be having a bad day and that might make them feel like crap.
Yeah.
It's that type of mentality. That's why I love I love grocery stores because, like, I think they're trained to ask you how you are. So I always
statement. I love grocery stores. I'm so
yeah, that might be an overstatement. But I like that part when I'm checking out because it's a moment to connect with somebody in a different way because they're going to ask you how you are because they're supposed to. So I always pause for a second and give them an honest answer, and it just takes a second. They're like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, I'm great. And usually they're already scanning, right? Beep, beep.
They just look up
and they just stop and look at me like, is he kidding? Like, does he not understand the socially acceptable way of connecting with other human beings? He must be new here. Maybe he's an alien,
Right.
But they just stop and look at me to see if I'm kidding. And I'm just sitting there like,
yeah.
And they're like, and then they're reading my energy and they don't even know that they're doing it. Because they lock on to me.
They can feel it's different. Yeah. Like, that's different.
Oh,
that's not normal.
He's not being a wise ass. He's serious.
Yeah.
And then most often they really enjoy it.
I was just thinking that, like, I'm thinking it's interesting because if you think about how people act unconsciously most of the time, you coming in and giving a response that's not what they typically would hear being unconscious, that's got to wake up something in that moment, which is why they're just like, huh? You okay? Like, are you okay? Like, I'm doing phenomenal, which is what I just said. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you can break people out of that unconsciousness for a moment. And
yeah, this is how, like, we have this real deep desire to help others.
Mhm.
And, most people have it really, and it's getting stronger and stronger. And if we're going to be on a spiritual path, one of the first things we have to learn is that you can't save anybody.
Mm.
We cannot save, and I was blessed enough to learn that right in the beginning because I came in through recovery.
Mm.
So I was knee deep in AA and, wanting to help people once I woke up.
Mhm.
And, in recovery, if you think you can help people, you're going to learn real fast that you can't, because you're going to be at funerals and you're going to be going like, oh crap, like, man, they were doing so good
Mhm.
3 days ago and now they're dead.
Yeah.
That's like trial by fire. There's a lot in recovery that was trial by fire for me. I had to learn, like, if I was going to continue helping, I need to learn to be disconnected with the outcome.
Mm.
I couldn't try to control whether they were going to do well or whether they weren't going to do well, because they were relapsing or dying or, like, and you're like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
I'm attached to an outcome. I really want to help them.
Yeah.
And, and I can't.
Yeah.
And so you have to deal with all that emotion and that attachment really quick through that doorway. But this is how we can actually help people, just by living authentically and happily, because it captures people's attention. Like you said, it's just because it's just a different vibration and it's a different way. And you show them that it's okay to be like that. And it doesn't mean that you think you're better than other people, and they can feel that. And they're like, oh my God, there's another way of being.
Yeah.
That's not arrogant. That's pleasurable.
Yeah.
Note to self.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like enrolling them in a possibility of some other type of thinking that's not what they're typically used to, which may be enough for people to get started.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just exposing people, it's attraction rather than promotion.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah. Just be a living example of what love looks like.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the right people will start finding you. And then the other people who aren't ready are going to call you all kinds of stuff. And they're going to be like, oh, he's out of his mind.
Yeah.
Like, you think I haven't heard that in the last 19 years?
Yeah.
I mean, of course I have.
Yeah.
Plenty of times. And it's like, it's okay. You're not ready. I mean, I'm not going to tell them that, because then, oh, what? You think you're better than me? I'm not ready. I don't even bother.
You're like, just let me know. Let me know.
Yeah. But you just said it. You just be love, be kind, be you, and then just let it go. And then, people will come in. Sometimes it happens with people who aren't ready, like they're not even started. And sometimes that happens with people that are on a spiritual path when you're working on it. Like, you're familiar with my work. My work is the way that I do stuff. There's not a lot of fluff on the surface. So people who listen to my podcast regularly, they like that, because they won't listen to me. They'll go find another podcast as well. They should. But the people who listen to me, they get spirituality on a very deep, straightforward level. Sometimes it might feel like a punch in the nose, but it's very deep level. And when you're dealing with things on a deep level, fear can get triggered. And sometimes fear comes up and people can't break through that fear at that moment in their life. We can all break through it, but sometimes they can't. And like, as soon as I feel that, my job is to hold them there. Just hold them there and wait to find out which way it breaks.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is up to them.
Don't go backwards. Stay in this bit, because the only way out.
And they start squirming and it's uncomfortable and they're like, fuck this. And and it's like, like,
what's there?
Just stay in it. And then they either choose to break through and go forward, or they shut down.
Yeah.
And if they shut down, then usually they flip it on me. And they're like, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with the way you teach. There's something wrong. You should go to school and get, your way isn't the only way. And, they start projecting it onto me.
Mm-hmm.
And which is fine. I mean, I'm not going to take it personally because I've just been holding them in a ball of pain. So like I know it's going to break one way or the other. They're either going to break through or break down, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
So like if they break down, they're not able to go forward. Maybe they'll project it onto me a little, but that's fine. But what's cool is I've had people come back a year later, 3 years later, 5 years later, and they're like, "Hey, I got to apologize." I'm like, "No, you don't." But they're like, I knew who to come to when I was ready.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's part of the journey too. It's like just waiting. Yeah. Meet them where they're at and then hold them there. And if they're not capable of breaking through, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like what, I mean, I wasn't capable of breaking through the first time. Yeah. Look, lots of people relapse in recovery, so it's like, and recovery is one way, I feel, if you do it right, to pop open, because that's what happened to me. And I've seen it happen to a lot of other people,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So yeah, it's, but it's fine. It's fine. But like, at least that seed was planted.
Yeah. And and it's the exposure to that, to knowing there's something else. Because we don't know what we don't know. So just giving that exposure at least opens up that door to some degree. But
yeah. So how do you view, yoga, shavasana, or any aspect of it, whatever comes to you, as far as people coming into spirituality? What's your experience with that?
I think yoga is a really nice bridge between spirituality and like the non-physical sense of the word, and also like the non-physical sense of what spirituality is, like what exists up here, where yoga kind of helps meet what's going on internally with something physical. So it helps people kind of connect that, because just being thrown into conversation, sometimes people just aren't there yet mentally, and they have stuff they want to work through. So with yoga, what's really it's a nice doorway to spirituality, because you're coming into it in a group setting. You're coming into it with other people that are most likely in that health and wellness space. Like that energy is there, but you get to create with it whatever you want. That's what I love about yoga, because I say to my students all the time, when I start my class, like I tell them, if you want to take child's pose the whole class, you can take child's pose the whole class. Like, this is your practice. Like, I am just here guiding you, and what you choose to do with whatever I guide you with is completely up to you, and it's completely up to you with what you want to do. So just like meet yourself where you're at. Don't force yourself past, where you need to be. And I see a big difference, honestly, from when students come in from the beginning of class and they've got that energy from the day and just like everything going on in their brains. And then we go through our little introduction, and after about 10 minutes, everyone settles in, and you can see that mind settling down, and the stories calming down and living in, the future or the past. It's all kind of comes to the present. So I think that for anyone that wants to practice like mindfulness and to be present, like yoga is a great introduction for that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's the as you were talking, I was seeing all the lines, and it's like that, the breathing aspect of it is huge, because that connects you with your body and your body with the physical exertion. That also can ground you, and it can burn off the nervous energy that's sitting on the surface. That's the first energy that burns off. Being a personal trainer, I saw that a lot. So it's like, yeah, I think it's a beautiful combination, because it's oftentimes in spirituality talk, it kind of sounds like we're fighting against things, like we're fighting against our mind. we're fighting against our ego.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a long history of fighting against our bodies, denying our bodies in spirituality, aesthetics, and that, like, Buddha's story is beautiful of that. Buddha became one of the best aesthetics, like, in the area, because he was on a spiritual path looking for enlightenment. And, like, he was just well renowned as being able to deny his body better than most others that were in the practice. But he realized that he wasn't going to find enlightenment there.
Right.
So it was when he he started eating food again, and all the other aesthetics were like, oh, Buddha sucks. well, he was Siddhartha back then. He wasn't the Buddha. He wasn't the awakened one.
Yeah.
But Siddhartha sucks. He's just, he caved. He couldn't handle it and all this stuff. We thought he was really good. But what it was is he realized that the denial of part of himself was not the pathway to enlightenment. Which that's what this reminded me of. We don't need to deny our mind or fight against our mind. We must, recovery, it says we must cease fighting everything and everyone. So it's not about denying our body or denying our mind or denying our ego. It's actually about becoming friends with all of them. And so it's just, sometimes you got to be firm with friends, especially when they're stepping over the boundaries that they're not supposed to be stepping over.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's what we're doing, where we are. If our mind is controlling us, we need to get in control of our mind. It's not because our mind is bad. Same with our ego. Our ego is not a bad thing. Our ego is a warning system trying to protect us from danger. Right. So it's these are our mind and our ego are the two things that in spirituality most often people think about fighting and denying, and it's our enemy. And it's like, no, it's none of that, and I think yoga is a good example of that. It's that, no, we're working with the body. We're we're learning to slow down our mind, so we're in control of it instead of it being in control of us. It's really a beautiful. I love all kinds of yoga. Like I actually studied all the different kinds just a little bit. I don't study stuff that much.
There's a lot of different kinds. It's very there's a different type for whatever anyone's into. There's a yoga out there for you, really.
Yeah, really. And it's a beautiful practices. I actually, at the beginning of last year, I think it was, maybe the beginning of this year, I don't know. Recently, I took a meditation course in Kriya Yoga.
Oh wow!
Which was pretty interesting. Kriya is some intense yoga, man.
Yeah, I was like, okay, let's hear how this went.
That's how I am. It's like
all in. I hear you. No lukewarm. You're like going all in. I hear you.
Yeah, let's see. Can I cannonball into Kriya? Is that allowed?
It's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, there is lots of different kinds of yoga, and this is, I think, one of the things that yoga gets a bad rap for, especially in developed countries, is it being watered down and only looked at as an exercise thing. A lot of people think it's just an exercise class.
Yeah.
And it's so much more than that. And but it can be whatever you need it to be, like you said, it's a beautiful doorway because there's so much variance in there that you can come in at your level. And if you just want to work out your body, then fine. Just go work out your body for a while,
Yeah. You can focus on one of the areas, or you can, it really does hit mental, physical, and spiritual. It's honestly the only type of physical exercise. I don't know if you can think of another one. I don't know any other one other than yoga that hits those three, because it's not just a lot of, during the class, it's setting intentions for the practice, And it could be in your life, or it could be with mantras, it could be with whatever, and you're practicing meditation. The yoga itself is a form of meditation. You're breathing, you're doing breath work, like, you're doing the physical part that's getting your body together. It's funny. I mean, it's not really funny, but the union, like for construction, out on the West Coast. I don't know if they're doing it over here. I'm on the East Coast, but at some companies, they're actually getting insurance breaks. Like they're paying less on insurance to have their guys do a yoga class in the morning before they start work, because it actually cuts down on the level of injuries that they have on the job as a whole. Not only because their bodies are stretched out, but because they're more mindful. Like it's all tied together. It's really cool to see it being used. Like, people talk about it being watered down. Yeah, sure. Does that sound like a watered down yoga class? Getting a bunch of construction guys in their boots and hats and getting them to stretch, before they go, like, get on a forklift? Yeah. It's not, of course, it's not the typical, what you would consider to be traditional yoga, but that's going to impact all those people in a really positive way. So
exactly.
If it's watered down, then
that's what it's all about.
That way. Yeah. Everyone has their twist with it. So I think it's great. Like, I don't, however people are going to perceive it is how they're going to perceive it at the end of the day too. So. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's great. And this is one of the things that, a lot of times we look at what's wrong in the world, but like, I think what's wrong in the world is because we're hitting the end. We're we're coming to the conclusion of a lot of dysfunctional ways of being. And part of that is research. Like I have this side of me that's very business oriented. Like I don't know. And I know that, like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be expanding in the near future because I feel it bubbling up even more and more lately. Mm-hmm. But I've always been intrigued by business. And part of it is the entrepreneurial bug that I've always had and stuff like that. But the dynamics of business intrigue me. And one of the things that I think is great about where we are right now is that we've researched everything. Our addiction, like, nothing is good or bad. It just is. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you go in the wrong direction far enough, you will find the right direction.
Yeah.
Because this is what has happened with
how far you want to go.
This is right. And we, as humans, we freaking go all the way because we don't know how to stop. We're addicted. We're addicted to growth. So in business, what they've researched every way humanly possible to make more money, to expand, to grow, to increase productivity and to make more money. So, and that sounds like a negative thing, but where we are now is we've got to the point where we've researched everything. The only thing left to research is happiness. So this is what over the last 10, 15 years, they've started researching in business. They've started researching the impact on a happy worker as opposed to an unhappy worker. They've started to research the impact on healthy living as opposed to unhealthy living. Amazing. So this is, in your yoga at a construction site was do you think they're doing freaking yoga at a construction site and giving people breaks on their insurance because they're not making more money?
Right.
No, it's money motivated. Right. Who gives a crap why they're doing it? Yeah. The fact is that they're pushing people into a healthier direction. Mm-hmm. They're pushing people in the direction of meditation, of exercise. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it makes them more profitable. That's good. I'm glad we finally got here because we've been kicking their ass for the last 100 years to try to get them to be more, in every other way. Well, let's, we'll minimize breaks and we'll push them harder and we'll get less vacation time. And, they've tried everything that they could to make people more productive to in a dysfunctional way. And they got them to a certain level of production and they hit a ceiling. Yep. Then all of a sudden they're like, okay, How can we turn them into robots more?
Right.
Well, we've hit a wall. We can't, there's no more robotic stuff we can teach them and pull out of them. It's done. Okay, well, there's got to be something else, because we're addicted to growth. So we can't stop. We don't just stop, because I lose my job if I don't come up with something that increases productivity. Right. Okay, well, what if they're, I don't know, happy? Like, what? I don't know, try it. Hey, we increased productivity 5%.
It's amazing.
Yeah, sweet.
Everybody wins. Like if they make more money, there's a lot of people, like we were talking about, to loop back with the, complaining and it's just like broccoli and, that people bond based on that. And they're like, oh, they're just doing this to make money. Cause I guarantee, that's probably a big, a response that happens, and who cares? Yeah, like they win and I win and you win. So I mean, really, who cares if they make more money?
And I've been in the middle spot where, like, I've worked with businesses to try to implement, now granted, these businesses had more of an open mind than maybe some other businesses, but they talked to me about creating a program for their employees to be more mindful. Mm-hmm. And now they're, like I said, they're more open-minded to even be talking with me. They are, so some of the people are, but if I have to go talk to the CEO and the board, I can't go in there and say, like, hey, we're in the middle of a spiritual shift happening on the planet. It's all about love, man. Like, I can't go in. They're like, see ya,
Yeah, doesn't
okay, thanks, hippie. You may go.
Yeah.
So, right. So to present it, to them, I have to show them how this is going to enhance their productivity.
This is going to benefit you. Let me show you why.
Yeah. Right. So I have to come at it from that perspective. So I've been in that middle seat where I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell the bigwigs how I'm going to show them, because I'm not lying. It's true. Mm-hmm. I will show them how this is going to improve their productivity and how their business is going to expand and all the benefits that they're going to get, the loyalty that they'll get from their employees, the extra work that they'll get from their employees once they start being feeling like they're valued, and all kinds of stuff. Like, I'll show them that, and then I'll be free to do my stuff.
Yeah.
Then I can go help the people. But that's what I love about spirituality is, if something is beneficial, there's a spiritual law underneath it. That's why it's beneficial.
Absolutely.
So to me, it's all one thing.
I'm sorry.
No, we got to introduce the cat. What's the cat's name?
Come back. Come on back. Her name is Gizmo.
Gizmo.
You were just. She'll be.
She'll be back.
There we go.
Oh, there she is.
That's better.
All right, Gizmo's on screen.
She really wants to be a part of this conversation.
Yes.
Clearly,
the energy's going up.
Right. She's getting wild. I don't know.
She's like, this is good stuff.
Yeah, she's very present. I can tell you that. She's very in the moment right now. She's got no stress.
Well, we've got lots of animal lovers that listen, so it's good. Or watch. If you're listening, you got to go to YouTube and watch now, because now you can't see the cat.
Right? Yeah. No, you're just not going to see the cat. Sorry. So, but this, that's it. It's all like, if we go in the wrong direction far enough, we find the right direction. It's, that love wins. Yes. Sorry. That's the beauty of it all. Yeah, I agree.
So,
so how long of a road you want to take to get there.
Yes. Right? Yeah, that's it. Like, I'd recommend just going straight for the spirituality and happiness, but you don't have to. You can run in the direction of, so actually, this is kind of interesting. This came up with a conversation with Dave many years ago, and I always remembered it. He was talking to me about that aha moment. Like, how do you induce that aha moment or something? I'm like, you can't. and he was like, well, what about suffering? Suffering can induce an aha moment. And I say, yes, it can, but not if you're suffering consciously, not if you're choosing to suffer. Because people do that, like, I mean, I even played around with it many years ago. It's like, I wasn't really trying to induce a spiritual awakening. I didn't even know what that was, but I was playing around with suffering enough because I was just suffering. And I'm kind of an extremist. So I figured, let's just dive headfirst onto a cement floor and see if that wakes me up.
I hear you. I understand. I have done the same things, and it's all. Yeah, I mean, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired,
right? And that's when, and it's hard then, and
it also depends on just, I think, like how receptive you are and how open to change you are, or like it only oh my goodness, stop it. It only takes you just have to hear something in the right way at the right time, and just be in that receptive type of state of mind, so where it breaks you out of that unconsciousness, I think, is when that aha moment happens. And you can't, it doesn't matter if you try and go face first in a concrete, you're just gonna have it when you're gonna have it.
Yeah, it just hurts. It just hurts more because you can't intend, like, suffering will pop you open if that's what it takes. And if that's what it takes, then it's unconscious. Like, you can't consciously choose to suffer to awaken, because then you're saying you're consciously choosing to suffer.
Yeah.
And that's your fault. Like, like, you're not suffering blindly, just going, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. That type of suffering is natural, and you can pop open and have aha moments. But if you go like, well, I'm confused, so I'm going to induce more suffering on myself.
Yeah.
That's just like pity pot crap.
Yeah.
And the universe can read energy. Like, you can't manipulate the universe.
No.
It can read it. It's like, no, dude, like, that's not real suffering. You're choosing it. It's pseudo suffering that you're asking for. Like,
and it's to trick people. Do it too, to like trick themselves. If I suffer enough, I won't want to do this anymore. Like,
and that's how we were taught. We were taught to do that to ourselves, and that's one of the big things that we need to get out of that pattern. It's through punishment for
absolutely. I remember being a teenager in high school, and my dad caught me smoking cigarettes. I wasn't a great kid. I wasn't a bad kid. I was just like not. I was I like just couldn't listen to anyone. And so he catches me, and of course, like, the first thing, a lot of our parents, like at that time or whatever, a lot of parents, maybe they still now say it, but he'd be like, I'm gonna make you smoke the whole pack. And then you're not going to want it anymore, And I feel like I took that on, like, in life, like, and I looked at things through that, like, so just a simple thing that's said to you, at different times, and you take it on and you live through it. So I can definitely relate with the suffering thing, because I feel like a lot of people that do that also have heard the same types of things and that mentality.
Yeah. And think about our whole system. I mean, in school, when you do something wrong, you get in trouble. You get punished. At home, when you do something wrong, you get punished. In life, you do something wrong, they punish you. You go to jail. It's all about. And what's interesting is they actually proved, I don't know how many years ago, but quite a few, that you cannot change negative behavior through negative feedback. It doesn't change negative behavior. Only positive feedback changes negative behavior. Mm-hmm. So they found this out, and they've proven it, but they haven't implemented it. Why? Well, because, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, take down the whole penal system?
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of money. Like, people aren't going to let that fly. They're like, well, it doesn't matter if you proved it scientifically. La, 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 la. Sure. But we can stop doing it to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can stop beating ourselves up and start feeding ourselves self-love. That's what actually changes negative behavior. When you feel good about yourself,
Yeah.
You know, when you're like that your energy rises, and you're like,
Mhm.
you know, like the I missed yoga class tonight. Why do I even bother? There's no, I'm not even going to bother trying to go back, because I always screw up, and I always fall through, and your energy just drops and drops and drops, and you don't feel like going to class again,
Yep.
you know? But if you're like, okay, life got me today, I missed
Mhm.
yoga class, but
Mhm.
hey, it happens to everybody. I can do this. You know, I'm good enough. I can follow through if I stick with it. Now, all of a sudden, your energy is rising, and
Yeah.
you're more likely to attempt to go to the next class. You know, you
Yep.
can just see it in the energy.
Yep. You can feel it. It's really, it is like a, yeah, what you resist persists. That always sticks with me. I
Yeah.
say it all the time in my head. But it's the same thing. Like, I feel like it's almost the same concept, you know? Like, you just have to, I feel like living into something greater than even being in the moment is sometimes what can help get people out of that. Like, the possibility of what you'd want to live into. What would that person, what kind of, you know, decisions would that person make right now? Right. Like having that whole mentality too, because people become so resigned and I'm not X, Y, and Z. It's like, don't focus on what you're not. What do you want? What do you want to create? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I did that years ago. Years ago, I made a list of the qualities that I admired in people. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like honesty, integrity, um, you know, just probably a list of like 7 qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it on my desk. And whenever I came to a situation in life that I didn't know how to handle, because I needed to learn to live like this too. You know, like, yeah, I blew open in the beginning to concepts and stuff, but I needed to take these knowingness, and I needed to learn how to implement them in my daily life.
Mm-hmm.
So I made that list, and every time I came to a situation I had to try to figure out how to handle, I would look at that list and I would go, what would this dude do?
Yeah.
Like, what would a person that has these qualities, what would they do?
Mm.
And then I'd be like, well, they'd probably do this. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then I did it. And then, like, after a few months, I was sitting there one day, and I looked at that list, and I was like, I think I'm that person.
Like, is it me?
Like,
That's a cool moment. That's a really cool
yeah.
moment to have.
Like, how the hell did that happen?
Like,
When did this?
I have all these qualities like every day.
And I live them.
So surreal.
You know, and I think this is probably a good place to wrap up. Like this is something that people have a very hard time with in the beginning of spirituality, is they're constantly keeping score of where they are. They're
Mm-hmm.
unhappy, and they're so focused on being unhappy that they cannot let it go. So they're like, well, I did 3 meditations and 2 yoga classes, but I still have anxiety. I did 14 shavasnas, and not that it's that way, but you know, and I listened to 42 podcasts and read 3 books, but I still feel like crap. Like, it's like you're keeping score. That's not how it works.
You're addicted to information.
Right. So
That's
like,
all.
and you're addicted to seeing where you are. Am I there yet? It's like a kid in the back of the car. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Am I happy yet? Am I happy yet? Like, no, you're never going to be happy as long as you keep asking if you're happy. Like, what you have to do is just get lost in the work. That's trusting the process. You just get lost in doing what you're supposed to do. You just get lost in creating space. You get lost in practicing a sacred pause. You get lost in going to yoga regularly. You just get lost in whatever the heck you're supposed to be doing, and you just do it. And then all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're like, I think I might be happy. When did this start?
That's really how it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and you see it in you know, like for me, it was the first time. I've experienced it several times, but the first time was through drinking. You know, one day I woke up and I was like, I don't think I thought about drinking yesterday.
Wow.
I don't I didn't think about drinking all day yesterday. I'm almost positive I did not think about drinking yesterday. And then I was like, when did that start?
Yeah.
And for me, it was, I don't remember now, but I think it was somewhere around a week to 2 weeks that I had estimated, because I kept going one day back and one day back. And no, I don't think I thought about it that day either. And I'd run through the day. I was trying to figure out when the hell the last time I thought about drinking was. Wow. And it was like a week or 2 weeks before, somewhere around there. And it blew my mind.
Yeah.
You know,
you never think you can get there.
No, but like if I'm,
because you took the attention off of it too. And then you put that energy in other places. Like, one of my favorite things is like helping people, you know, or like whatever. Like, everyone you know is going through something. Everyone. So like, getting too much into that self, it'll keep you from getting there. Like you say all the time, happiness is a means of travel, not a destination. Yeah. You know, so the only way to find that is through taking us out of ourselves as well.
Right.
Like you said, then you check out for a bit, and then you do the work because it's outside of yourself. It's not here, and then you come back and you're like, oh wow. Yeah, and it's sometimes it's helping others. I mean, that's like the go-to when all else fails. Just help somebody. Because that's my go-to. Yeah, that's in our community. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it works. But like if you're working on, you know, whatever you're working on, get lost in the doing of it and forget about its results. Did I get the results yet? Did I get the results yet? Did I get the results yet? This is what okay, so this is it. Yeah. I saw this earlier and I didn't know how it was going to tie in, but this is where it's going to tie in. So when I was studying the yoga, all the different styles of yoga, what I found interesting was that the way yoga was done back, you know, the different types of yoga back thousands of years ago, like it was never like nobody we're addicted to trying to know what's going to come, like if it's going to be worth our time or something. Oh yeah. So like in yoga, that's not how they did it. Like they went and said, hey, I want to learn, I want you to be my guru. You know, and if the guru took you on, then agreed, then they took you on and they just told you to do stuff and you just went and did it. And half the time you didn't know why you were doing it or what the meaning of it was. It wasn't about that. They didn't explain it to you. They just said, go do this. You know, it's the Karate Kid stuff, you know, wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. Oh. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you why just do it. Just, you know, trust me and do it. And then it all falls into place. And that's much more effective because it keeps our mind out of it. Yeah. You know, we're not going, well, you need to figure it out or label it or just do it. Yeah, just do it. And then all of a sudden you'll wake up one day and you'll have the results. Absolutely. You know. Well said. So that's it, man. Cool. All right, cool. Well, I guess that'll do it. It's the full circle moment. That little piece came in. It might even have been before we were talking or something. I know. And I saw it and I'm like, oh. I know. It doesn't fit. I'm like, I need to say something conclusive after that statement for sure. Yeah. Divine perfection. All right. Well, thank you. This has been fun. Thank you. This was great. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to end and you hang around. I'll talk to you backstage. Yep. All right. Let's see. And end.
Looking for more? Check out over 200 episodes of Life Lessons in Laughter, or click the link in the description of this episode to connect with Glenn directly.